Are you giving dry January a chance? Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 inspiring times celebrities quit drinking. For this list, we're looking at celebrities who decided to go sober. Number 10, Bradley Cooper, 15 years sober. Despite starring in the Hangover movies, Bradley Cooper has been sober since the age of 29.
In your late 20s, you stopped drinking.
Stop drinking, yeah.
He decided to take this step after his problems with addiction started to affect both his job and his ability to live his life.
Because I wouldn't have been able to have access to myself or other people, or even been able to take in other people if I hadn't changed my life. No way.
In the early 2000s, his mental health started to suffer, and he began having intrusive, dangerous thoughts, so much so that he has stressed in later interviews that if he hadn't gotten the help he needed, he might not be here today.
Unbelievable.
Better.
Oh, are you kidding? I would never be sitting here with you.
It was only after he stopped drinking that he started to land big roles in movies like Wedding Crashers and The Hangover, and even used his experience as an alcoholic to inform his acclaimed performance in A Star is Born. Number 9, Eva Mendes, 11 years sober. In 2008, Eva Mendes shocked the world when she checked into rehab. At the time, spokespeople said that her problems were not critical, and going to rehab was entirely her own choice. The true extent of her addiction never made it to the tabloids, something she's been happy about. Mendes has since spoken out about how the idea of going to rehab is misrepresented, and that people need a huge amount of determination and fearlessness to check themselves in. She's sober now after 11 years and even offers support to others willing to take the same steps. Number 8, Keith Urban, 13 years sober. Staying sober just got harder and harder for Keith Urban after he moved to the US to pursue a career in country music.
Got faced with a decision, a specific one about 4 years ago, when my life had gotten to a complete unmanageability.
He's spoken candidly in interviews about his problem, which was only curbed in 2007 when, after 4 months into their marriage, Nicole Kidman staged an intervention and persuaded him to go to rehab.
For those of you who don't know, a few months after he got married to Nicole, he checked into rehab for substance abuse.
Urban has said that at the darkest point, he didn't care whether he lived or died. The good news is he's been on the wagon since then, and both his marriage and career remain strong. He's even offered advice on turning to sobriety for people in similar situations, most notably Demi Lovato. Number 7, Dax Shepard, 15 years sober. In 2004, just before starring in Zathura, Dax Shepard was finally able to take the hard step and quit drinking and drugs for good. In interviews, he's openly discussed his many attempts to get sober over the years, noting one particularly bad time in which, while attending AA meetings in Hawaii, he went on a 3-day bender and smoked crystal meth.
I come to realize that it's Monday. And I'm like, I've never had an experience like that where I missed 3 days. I have nothing.
Since quitting, he's turned his life around completely, meeting Kristen Bell in 2007 and ultimately marrying her.
It starts with her being just endlessly generous and loving and giving people the benefit of the doubt and believing in people and believing the world's a wonderful place and all these things.
Today, they celebrate his sober birthday more than his actual birthday, and she's always been hugely supportive of his journey to happiness and sobriety. Number 6, Rob Delaney, 17 years sober. It took a lot of attempts for Delaney to permanently get on the road to sobriety. The straw that finally broke the camel's back was a nasty car crash in 2002 where he broke both his arms and severely damaged his knees.
11 years ago, in a blackout, I drove a car into the Department of Water and Power in Los Angeles, and I broke both my arms very badly. This bone was sticking out. It was a compound fracture. I had to have surgery on both of them.
He had to get sober after this because he could no longer hide what was happening to him. He later saw the full extent of the horrors of addiction when 3 of his friends from rehab died in quick succession soon after his departure.
That's when I decided to put the plug in the proverbial jug.
Delaney's talked about his alcoholism in books and has explored it in his TV show Catastrophe, with plot lines revolving around the main character relapsing. Number 5, Daniel Radcliffe, 7 years sober. Dealing with stardom at a young age is always hard, but more so when you play the leading role for 10 straight years in one of the biggest movie franchises ever. Radcliffe turned to drinking when he was very young and has said it became a large problem between the ages of 18 and 21.
In my case, the quickest way of forgetting about the fact that you were being watched was to get very drunk and then as you get very drunk, you become aware that, oh, people are watching more now because now I'm getting very drunk, so I should probably drink more to ignore that more.
He felt he needed alcohol to cope with his fame, and even showed up drunk to the set of the later Harry Potter films. After the last one wrapped, he decided to stop drinking for good.
And so I stopped with the help of friends and family, and the last year has been a lot more manageable and a lot better. I've been a lot happier.
Though Radcliffe had a brief relapse in 2016, he picked himself up and got back on the wagon. Number 4, Russell Brand, 16 years sober. This comedian has made no secrets of his long battles with addiction. In using it as material for his stand-up, he's been a huge advocate for educating the public about the nature of addiction.
But the reason I've written this book, Megan, is I believe it's possible for people to be happy. I believe it's possible for people to be connected. I think we're trying to solve inner problems externally continually. In fact, consumerism depends on that idea. So I just wanted to put spiritual ideas into the world in an easy-to-understand way.
After spending his youth addicted to heroin and crack, he was finally able to get clean after going to a 12-step center for 3 months. Something only possible because he was persuaded to do so by his ex-manager.
The tools and techniques I was using to one day at a time not use drugs and alcohol were becoming utilised in every area of my life. The way that I feel about sex, the way that I feel about food, all behaviour and all forms of attachment can be tackled, or at least my perception of them can be altered by working the 12 steps.
In the years since, he spent his time trying to help others struggling with the same disease, stressing the necessity of support and self-knowledge.
The first thing is admitting that there's some sort of problem.
Number 3, Ozzy Osbourne, 6 years sober. The Black Sabbath frontman has had a crazier life than most, and he's still around to talk about it, though he said that owing to his lifestyle, he should have been dead decades ago. He was in his 60s when he decided to try and get sober, and one of his biggest motivators was his family.
It wasn't fun anymore, it was just like a drag, you know, and if that gets like that, why do I want to do it? But I had to make a few changes in my life with letting people into my world, you know.
Without the support of Sharon Osbourne, he never would have been able to do it, and may not have even wanted to.
How are you alive?
I don't know, it's a miracle. Miracles do happen, don't they?
You do see it as a miracle, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the miracle is that I was able to stop. I just made my mind up one day. I was out of my mind for so long.
Since becoming sober, he's prioritized his relationship with his kids, making the effort to actually be in their lives.
Since Ozzy Osbourne took to Facebook last week, admitting that he'd fallen off the wagon. He wrote, "I would like to apologize to Sharon, my family, my friends, for my insane behavior during this period."
Number 2, Sir Elton John, 29 years sober. Throughout the 1980s, Elton John was battling a serious drug problem that almost took his life.
You know, I have a wonderful life now, but I had to change it. I had to change my life really drastically. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. So I had a choice. And I made the choice, and it was the right choice.
He ultimately sought treatment in 1990 and then took a year off, fearing he wouldn't be able to perform while sober. But he was stronger than he thought and has stayed on the straight and narrow since.
Do you consider yourself a survivor?
Oh, absolutely. I am a survivor. I've survived a lot of things. Life is full of, pitfalls, even when you're sober.
His full struggle with substance abuse was shown in the 2019 biopic Rocket Man, about his early career, fame, and his eventual turn to sobriety. The movie, produced by John himself, is so accurate in these depictions that he and his husband have both found parts of it hard to watch.
It's hard to watch the family stuff, and the drug stuff I can handle because I know I did it. The family stuff is very touching, and it was part and parcel of the reason why I became the addict I was, because I think of my background.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Robert Downey Jr., 16 years sober. He's successfully stayed away from substance abuse since 2003, but prior to that, Robert Downey Jr. spent years in the tabloids for frequent trips to jail and rehab. His problems began at the age of 6, when his father let him smoke marijuana and then used mutual drug use as a way to bond with his son. After starring in Less Than Zero, his problems steadily worsened, eventually costing him his marriage to Deborah Falconer in 2001. Things began to look up, though, when he met producer Susan Levin, and he credits her as one of the reasons he was able to overcome his addictions. He became the leading man of the MCU and even had his former drug convictions overturned.
Yeah, I can fly.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.